Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, Watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach wa Malaki Bashar. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord, Hamashiach wa Malaki Bashar. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, reverencing their husbands, and those who may not be married or those who tend to put the Lord without distraction. Shalom to the ancient men, the children, the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live. Kazak, Taylor C, HBK Int, Sweet Styles, Quadan, D Rivers, Nigel Blends, Vernon Brody, Joshua Flores, Issachar Power, Judah 4-0, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. This is Trump and Bible prophecy, right? The king of the north and the Antichrist. So there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of Christian evangelists. There's even a lot of Israelites trying to wrap their mind around what role does Donald Trump play in these end times, right? In these end of days, how is Donald Trump going to be used to fulfill the will of the Most High? And even most people of the world, they feel and they know that, these days and these times that we're living in is different. You ask people, even at camp, do you know we're in the end of the world? And people say, yeah, I can feel it. Something is different. They always say the weather is different. Things are going on that haven't been going on before. So the average people, they mainly Israel, they have a sense of judgment taking place on the earth. And now you have these Christians and you have a lot of these different so-called scholars. They are trying to put Donald Trump into particular prophecy. So we're going to go into this and see through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmiah Washai, what role does Donald Trump play in prophecy? So let me pull this up real quick. So this is, I typed this in, right? It's lucky. I don't want fulfill. I want Donald Trump Bible prophecy. And there's a few articles. It's lucky through the spirit where it says evangelical leaders, this from NBC News, celebrate Trump's victory as a prophecy fulfilled. Why is Trump being compared to the obscure biblical king Jehu? Christian prophet makes new prediction about Trump's family, right? U.S. Christian right celebrates after prophecy of Trump win comes to pass. So there's a lot of men putting Trump and the word prophecy in the same sentence. Now, when you go to Second Ezra, we're going to go into what role Donald Trump plays. A lot of people are saying he's the Antichrist. Is he going to fulfill this in the book of Daniel? Is he going to fulfill this in the book of Revelation? Well, first, let's go to Second Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 1. Right? Second Ezra, chapter 15 and 1, because the only ones that can declare the prophecies, they will have to be prophets. They are prophets. You're not going to have men who advocate white supremacy, Christian evangelical bug outs that are going to be able to go into these scriptures and declare what the prophecies are. In Amos, the second chapter, the Lord, let me actually get that real quick. In Amos, Salakia, chapter 2, and I want to get the classic, then I want to go to Second Ezra. Amos chapter 2 and 11, and I raised up your sons for prophets, and of your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel, saith Yahweh? So the only men that can be prophets are the Israelites, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child elected and chosen from the foundation of the world. The prophets are a class of men, if you didn't know. They are a class or a guild or a company of men that are set up by Yahweh, Bashmiah Bashar, the God of heaven and earth, And these men are the messengers, the voice piece of the Most High on the earth to teach, to warn, to rebuke, to correct his people. And there have always been prophets on the earth from the very beginning, right? Let's go to Luke, the first chapter, right? And these Christians, these people that you see, you got some people saying he's King Cyrus. Is he king? Is Donald Trump King Cyrus? Is Donald Trump Jehu? Is Donald Trump this king? Is he one of the Caesars? Everybody's trying to figure out who Donald Trump is in the spirit. Even Edomites, because there's something different about certain Edomites and certain people on the earth where people are even trying to attach him to one of the ancient men of old. Now, when you go to Luke, let's get this real quick, right? Luke chapter 1 and verse 70. It reads, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. So don't think that the first prophet that walked up on the scene was Samuel or Moses, right? There were prophets during the time of Adam that walked the earth, man. There were prophets during the time of Cain and Abel. There were prophets during the time of the Shem, Japheth, and Ham, man. Noah was a prophet, right? There's always prophets on the earth. And some prophets are named, and some prophets are completely unnamed through the Spirit. Slaki, bear with me. Right? Some prophets are unnamed. So you have holy prophets which have been since the world began, which means those prophets that have been since the world began, their descendants, their sons, and those men are back on the earth even to this day, doing the same thing that they were doing from the foundation of the world. Right? This is 2 Ezra chapter 15 and 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. And that's what we should be speaking in the last days, man. I mean, what are we going to talk about? LeBron James? What are we going to talk about? The rap albums, man, that came out or that are coming out? We'll talk about beef, right? I don't even know what's going on pretty much in the world, man, and in terms of the things that Jake is into, man. But we do know what's going on prophetically in the world. We do know World War III is on the rise. We do know that a famine is coming on the earth. We do know that Jacob's trouble is inevitable, man. So there's nothing else to talk about except to go into these prophecies and and break down these scriptures and push the doctrine. That's what we have to do, right? It says, speak thou in the ears of my people. Who's the Most High's people? The Israelites. How do you know that? Read Exodus 3 and 10. Read Isaiah 44 and 1. Read 1 Chronicles 16 and 13. Read Psalms 135 and 4. Right? Read Matthew 2 and 6. Read all these precepts where the Most High's people are the Israelites. And the Lord says, speaking to them the words of prophecy, meaning tell them what I'm going to do on the earth before it happens. He didn't raise up a Christian, damn white supremacist that bows down to Caesar Borgias, man, and Renaissance art images created in the 13 and 1400s, man. It says, which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. And that's where you have the breakdowns and the prophecies and the visions and the dreams from Daniel, from Ezra, from John the Revelator, from Jeremiah. They're written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. And we don't fear the imaginations or the thoughts that people speak against us, man. We don't fear how they call us a black cult hate group or, black identity extremists or black separatists, and they're going to round us up. And we don't care about that, man. The Lord said, let not the incredulity, meaning disbelief, of them trouble thee that speak against thee. So rather it's your family members that speak against you. Why are you in that cult? Why do you teach that? Why do you hate people? Why do you do this? That doesn't fret our hearts and our spirits, man. Why? For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness, because there's a reward to the righteous, and those who come against the righteous, their reward is death, because they don't believe in what's coming on the earth. So these prophecies, we're going to go into it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And the first one, article I want to touch on is U.S. Christian right celebrates after prophecy of Trump win comes to pass. So we're going to touch on that through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Right now, there is no, if you want to go exactly into a precept and you're looking for the word Donald Trump, it's not going to be in there. There's not going to be an exact precept that says, speaking to the children of Israel and said to them, Donald Trump shall come into office in the month of November in the year AD 2025. It's not written like that. Just like you're not going to find the word America written in the Bible. You're not going to find black people in the Bible, right? You're not going to find ICBM missiles in the Bible, right? You're not going to find these certain things because the Most High writes things in code. You know, so you're going to hear of leaders and events and things that you see coming to pass, but it's all codified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? Why do you think the Lord real quick told Daniel, seal up these sayings, right? This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse number 4, right? Daniel 12 and 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So there are certain things that are sealed up to the average man. Not as if it's literally sealed, but the understanding is sealed. The understanding is closed off to those who are without. So you have to have the inspiration of Yahweh or Yahushua in order to understand what these prophecies are going into, you know? So here's this article, right? U.S. Christian right celebrates after prophecy of Trump win comes to pass. And I would like to know, and I haven't read these articles in depth. Kind of saw, you know, points here, saw the title. I would like to know what exact prophecy are they speaking of that comes to pass? Because again, we went into the only prophets can be the Israelites, right? It says Christian nationalist, which means white supremacists. What is a nationalist? Somebody, now, really is somebody that supports their nation. They take interest in their nation. IST meaning you take interest or you have a preference. So a nationalist is somebody that prefers or take interest in their own nation. The nation that they're speaking of is America. How is America rooted and founded on? White supremacy, violence, and the destruction of an entire nation of people. So if you're a Christian nationalist, by default, you are a white supremacist. Because again, Christian nationalists, they founded America with deception, biological warfare against the Gadites, the Reubenites, murder, deceit. Those were Christian nationalists. George Washington, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Andrew Jackson, all and the Trail of Tears, those men were all Christian nationalists. There's no such thing as a good Christian nationalist. But it says Christian nationalists will hope for increased political influence after key voting bloc helps to deliver at the polls. So Salaki, let me jump down. Right, it reads, like I said, I haven't read this whole thing, but it reads, at a Republican watch party on Tuesday evening in the Milwaukee suburbs, Demetra Anderson, a 64-year-old belly dancer, clutched her boa constrictor, a pet that travels with her everywhere. So you know her mind now, right? She's a 64-year-old belly dancer that walks around with a pet serpent, and issued a confident proclamation. I'm ecstatic because I believe he's going to win in a tidal wave. So they must be saying that she's the prophet, right? It reads, the night was young. No swing states have been called yet, but Anderson, who describes herself as a born-again believer. So this is madness. You're a born again believer walking around with a serpent, right? And you're a 64-year-old belly dancer. What did the Most High say, speaking to the children of Israel, and everybody ages from 80 old and up, speaking to them and proclaim that they should be belly dancers? Where is it at in the Bible? It's not in there. And even thus shalt thou say unto them, take unto thee the nearest serpent, and wrap that serpent around thee, and it shall be unto thee even as a pet. So this is what you call false prophets that the Most High has set up, right? Let me pull this person up. Demetra Anderson. And she probably gets, let me pull this up. What if this is this individual? I'm not going to do an in-depth search for this person, but she's there somewhere, right? Demetra Anderson, who allegedly said Trump is going to win in a landslide. So let's go back to this. It reads, the night was young, no swing states have been called yet, but Anderson, who describes herself as a born-again believer, had been following the preachings of the self-styled prophets of the Christian right. They were saying Trump would win. So she proclaimed it, and she's been following prophets on the Christian right. Prophets on the Christian right. Let's go to the book of 2 Peter. And they were saying Trump is going to win, right? Let's go to 2 Peter, the second chapter. Right? This is 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there should be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. So you're going to have false prophets who deal with damn cleromancy and sorcery, right? And deal with predictions, right? Just because somebody said Donald Trump is going to win doesn't make them a prophet, right? People bet on games. If you think that the LA Lakers are going to beat the Celtics and they win, that doesn't make you a prophet. Okay, well, the Yankees are going to beat the Dodgers. Okay, they won. Okay, well, I'm a prophet. No, a prophet is somebody sent by Yahweh Bashmi, a righteous prophet, inspired through the Holy Spirit to proclaim what the Most High said is going to happen on the earth. And there's not one prophecy per se that says Donald Trump is going to win the election. You haven't heard not one brother go out there and say, thus said the Lord, and pull a scripture to justify Donald Trump winning the election. Now, you might have a brother that say, hey, look, he might win, or the way the society is set up, but that doesn't, it's not part of a prophecy. Right? So let's go into that. Right? It reads, self-styled prophets on the Christian right, they were saying Trump would win, and they were right. You see that? After a narrow electoral defeat in 2020 and 2 assassination attempts in 2024, Trump has emerged victorious, an event that Christian nationalists are celebrating as a critical win for their movement. Now, check this out. Now that Trump has secured his victory, figures on the Christian far right whose prominence grew during Trump's 2016 presidency will enjoy larger followings and, more importantly, close proximity to the highest office in the U.S. Among these figures are leaders in the New Apostolic Reformation, a movement which rejects secularism. Secularism is of the world, right? And embraces Christian dominionism. Now look at this. Right? Like I said, this is my first time reading this. You got to kind of know what these words mean to really break down what they're saying. So they're part of a movement that embraces Christian dominionism. The idea that Christians, and when they say Christians, they're not talking about you Negroes, man. At First Baptist Church in Tuscaloosa, man. In Mobile, Alabama. In New Orleans, man. in Chicago. They're not thinking about you so-called Negroes, man. Or you brothers that say, well, we're the true Christians. They're not thinking about you. Christian dominionism is nothing new. And we're going to go into Christian dominionism because that's what these prophets are into. Right? The idea that the Christians are tasked by the Most High to rule over society and the government. And this sounds like what you call a cult. Christian dominionism. Right? The idea that Christians, meaning Edomites, that's what they're really saying. Edomites that are white supremacists, like the KKK, like the far right, that support Trump. They're back in their position to believe that they're here to rule over you Negroes and enslave all nations. That's in their mind. And that's the spirit on a lot of these Edomites back on the earth, man. Right? Now, Christian dominionism is written, it's not written per se in the Bible, but that spirit is documented in the scriptures, man. About these Edomites that came over here that were Christians, that enslaved these nations that were already over here and raped, robbed, and murdered them, man. Let's go to Isaiah, the 10th chapter. Right? Let's go to Isaiah, the 10th chapter. Right? This is Isaiah chapter 10. I mean, this whole thing is good. But I want to start at verse number 13. Right? Isaiah chapter 10 and verse number, I'll start at 12. And verse number 12. So again, the founding fathers of America, they were advocates of Christian dominionism. This is why they had the famous theology of manifest destiny, right? Let's pull this up. Manifest destiny was the 19th century belief that the United States was destined to expand across North America and that its expansion was justified. Manifest destiny was used to justify the forced removal of Native Americans and other groups from their homes. It was also used to justify the United States going to war to secure new territories, including the Mexican-American War of 1845. That's what Christian dominionism teaches. To rape, to rob, to murder, to exploit, to pilfer, kill. So that's what these prophets are. These prophets that have been prophesying and pushing Donald Trump to be in office are the same spirits that enslaved us as a people, right? So we're going to Isaiah the 10th chapter, right? And those are the prophets who prophesied of so-called Donald Trump. Isaiah chapter 10 and 12. Wherefore it shall come to pass that when the Lord hath performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria and the glory of his high looks. Now, the stout heart of the king of Assyria is really a dark saying speaking about the so-called white man. He's likened it to the king of Assyria, and America prophetically is likened it to Nineveh. So when the Most High has done afflicting us and our punishment is fulfilled, he's going to start jamming up these nations that have oppressed us. Right? Verse number 13. For he said, by the strength of my hand, I have done it. And by my wisdom, for I am prudent. And I have removed the bounds of the people and have robbed their treasures. And I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. And this is what Esau is saying in his mind. That's what these prophets are saying. The only way that we were able to conquer the earth is because we're wise, we're prudent, we're justified. We have removed the bounds of the people. Removing the bounds of the people is taking over people's lands. The law says, thou shalt not remove the ancient landmark, paraphrasing, right? And landmarks established boundaries and separated one man's field from another man's field. And they would name those landmarks. They would name those stones. which separated fields from fields. So Esau is saying, I have removed the bounds of the people. Let's show you what Christian dominionism has done, right? Let's see the continent of the land of Ham, right? Let's type this in. Europeans. And let's see, this is what Christian dominionism teaches. Right? Let me see if I can get this on a better map. It teaches to colonize entire lands, continents. West Africa taken over by the French. Nigeria taken over by the UK. Egypt taken over by the UK. This is, back before these nations so-called received their independence. That's what Esau does, man. Anglo-Egyptian Sudan, right, by the UK. East Africa by the UK. Congo by Belgium. Angola of Portugal, right? North Rhodesia by the UK. Mozambique by Portugal, right? Italy taking over Eritrea. Somalia. Spain took over parts of Africa, man. West Sahara. This is what Christian dominionism and those prophets teach. That it's perfectly fine to go into another land, rape, rob, and murder, and divide the land. Let's pull up another map. Let's go to the book of Daniel. Actually, let's pull this map up. Right? Let's do Spain, France. Slocky, bear with me. Spain, France, and England. Right? And this is prophecy. This is what we're reading about in the book of Daniel. I mean, the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter. And I have robbed, it's like, and I've removed the bounds of the people, and I have robbed their treasures, and I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. These are the false prophets, and this is what they support. They support robbing and removing the bounds of the people. They support taking the land of Asurath, which is the biblical name of America, and dividing it up amongst themselves. Let's get that in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter. Right? Let's go to Daniel chapter 7. This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse number 19. It reads, Then would I know the truth of the fourth beast, which is the Roman Empire, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. So Daniel saw the Roman Empire coming into power, and it broke down the Greeks and the other powers that were in that position before them, right? And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and the mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. So you have the 10 horns, right, which is your modern day EU. Now, part of your 10 horns was England, right? Spain, France, Belgium, right? These are, your various 10 horns. It reads, and of the other which came up, what came up? America. That's one of the horns that came out of the 10. And before whom 3 fell. Because America, they took down 3 horns. They took down the French and the French and Indian War. Also the so-called quasi-war. They took down Spain in the Spanish-American War. And the third horn they took down was England and the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. Even if that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things. The very great things as saying that what? We should have dominion from sea to sea. We are entitled and have been blessed and given grace by God to destroy all savages, dark nations, and anybody that doesn't look like me and my white Jesus. These are very great things to speak. whose look was more stout than his fellows, right? Because America, they're bolder, wealthier, and more proud than other Edomite countries. But these three horns that fell prior to them falling, this is what they did, man. Esau, they have just divided up the earth. They have divided up the earth and removed the bounds of the people. Right? That's what Isaiah is saying. Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 10 and 14. And my hand hath found as a nest the riches of the people. And as one that as one gathereth eggs that are left, have I gathered all the earth. So you Negroes don't own anything. And there was none that moved the wing or opened the mouth or peeped. So the Lord is letting you know who runs the earth. Esau. He said, I have gathered all the earth. He's divided up Babylon the Great. He took over the land of Ham. He took over the land of Asia. He took over all these various places on the earth. And there was nobody that can stand against him. That's why we read in Daniel, he stamped the residue with his feet. Right? Let's go to the book of Daniel, the 11th chapter. Right? Let's go to Daniel chapter 11. So part of what they're saying, Trump in prophecy, is they're saying again, let's go back to this article real quick, that these prophets, they embrace Christian dominionism. The idea that Christians are tasked by God to rule over society and government. And another quick point is there's a scene in the movie Django. If you haven't seen Django, after the Shabbat, see Django. There's a scene in Django where you have the sister, she's tied to the tree. This one, Django, he put on his disguise. He went back to the plantation with the three brothers. I can't think of the three brothers' name. If you remember, you remember, right? But they was the three brothers that he ended up killing. Now, one of those brothers, he was ready to whip this Eve. I think she broke the eggs or something. And the Edomite, he had Bible verses attached all on his chest, man. And what he said is, when you watch that movie, he was mumbling the verse in Genesis, the 9th chapter, having dominion over the beast of the field. And in Genesis, the 1st chapter, and subdue it. So he was, in his mind, he was saying that the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, they must be subdued by being whipped, by being raped, by being tortured, and by being beaten. That's Christian dominionism. Ruling over the entire earth and justifying it by saying that God is allowing you to do it. See if I can find that scene real quick. Let's see. Django whipping scene. Right? Let's see if I can pull this up. Hold on. See, they jumped straight to the point. They got straight to the point. The Brittle brothers. Right? I'm gonna play this quick clip. Now you see, hold on. I'm not gonna play the whole, but you can see he had Bible verses attached to him. And he was saying, he would pull these verses like the servants obey your masters, the curse of Ham. They would justify us having dark skin and us being in slavery because of the curse of Ham. All these things are verses used by Christians and men like Donald Trump and men that follow him to big themselves up and to justify the crimes and violence that they have done on the earth for the last hundreds of years. You know? Now, again, they don't have the whole scene that I'm looking for, but he was actually pulling a scripture before he was about to whip that sister. In this movie right here, man. He was actually pulling scriptures. And a verse, if I'm not mistaken, that he went to before we go to Daniel was in Genesis, I believe, the 9th chapter, right? This was Genesis chapter 9 and verse 2. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea, and to your hand they are delivered. And this was their justification, to put fear and dread upon everything on the earth, right? Even the children of God, even the sons of the Most High. These are their decrees, man. These are their laws, right? Let's go back to Daniel, the 11th chapter. So we're going to touch on these different prophetic so-called prophets that are prophesying of so-called Donald Trump, right? This is the book of let's get this in Daniel 11th chapter, right? Let's get this in Daniel chapter 11, right? This Daniel chapter 11, and we're going to start at verse number 36, right? Daniel 11:36. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. And this king right here is speaking of Babylon the Great, right? This society that you dwell in, these modern day Edomites, right? This is not speaking of Antiochus, right? When you read this account, you read about this king ends up dying in Jerusalem, whereas Antiochus, he died in strange mountains outside of Persia, man. This king ran and took over Egypt and a final conquest, whereas Antiochus wasn't allowed to surpass what the Romans allowed him to do, right? So this is a futuristic king, right? And he's going to do according to his will. This is how the so-called white man in today's society is. They do what they want to do, and they exalt themselves. They're Jesus. They're the angels. They're the Most High, right? They're the Israelites. They're everybody. They're even the nations, man. They're the last samurai. They're Pharaoh. They're Moses, right? They're lone wolf Indians in every movie, man. They're a sitting bull, you know. They're damn they're everybody, man. So they exalt themselves and magnify himself above every god, above Buddha, above the cobblestone and Allah, above Greek gods, above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods. Let's get that precept in Revelation chapter 13. And that's what they're doing, man. Right? They're speaking great things against the God of gods. Who's the God of gods? The Most High. Here's the precept. Revelation chapter 13 and 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So this same beast was given power to speak great things. And again, the great things that he speaks are the blasphemies, the contradictions, the lies, the hypocrisies. The him being the Pope that can forgive sins, that can bless abortions, that can unify, make a union between two men and two women, that can call us niggers and take away our identity, that can say that he's the Most High, right? That he's the angels, he's Michael, he's Raphael, he's Uriel. That's the mouth speaking great things. Same thing in Daniel. He shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. And this is that modern day king, right? Now, Donald Trump, per se, isn't this king, but this king represents an entire nation, right? It's an entire nation. How do you know that? Let's go to Daniel chapter 7, right? It's really going into a nation, right? This is Daniel chapter 7 and 17. These great beasts which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. So when you read about Daniel, the 7th chapter, you read about four major empires: the Babylonians, the Medes and the Persians, the Greeks and the Romans. Now, those beasts are actual empires, but the Lord calls them kings. So same thing in Daniel, the 11th chapter. Yeah, there's singular, it says king in singular, but there's not one actual king of Babylon the Great, right? You have an oligarchy that actually runs the society. That is the true government that these masses of the people are unaware of. They think that, okay, it's either Republican or you're a Democrat. The entire system of America is what you call an oligarchy or an aristocracy. It's really a combination of both, right? And the oligarchy represents this king. It represents the elites that run this society. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they constitute this word king right here. You even read about them being called the king of Babylon in Isaiah 14th chapter. Here's what an oligarchy is, right? An oligarchy is a small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. A country governed by an oligarchy, government by an oligarchy. So that's really the government system of America. But to the average American citizen, they'll tell you, no, we're a democracy. They'll convince you that you have power. They'll make you wait in a 4-hour line just so you could get there and think that your vote actually counts. They'll make you think that you can choose your elected official, which is the republic part of it. They're not a democratic republic society. They are what you call an oligarchy or an aristocracy. Let's pull up the word aristocracy, right? Aristocracy. It reads, the highest class in certain societies, especially those holding hereditary titles or offices, which are these elites. They're the highest class. You may think it's lower class, middle class, upper class. There are classes above upper class that's not documented. And that's the aristocracy, right? That's why it says the highest class. And they have hereditary titles because those things, those positions that the Rothschilds have, you can't vote for that. There's no vote for who's going to be the next Rothschild. They don't vote for who's going to be the next Rockefeller. It's an aristocracy. It's hereditary. It's passed down. And the masses of the people, they have no idea. You're voting for puppets, but there's an oligarchy government that is running things behind the scenes. They represent the king that we're reading about. Now, Donald Trump in prophecy, he's just a low-level puppet. A low-level puppet. And he's part of this king, but he is not the king, right? Let's go to Isaiah, real quick, chapter 14, right? This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse number 4. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Is there one oppressor? That's the king that walks around with a crown and a scepter in his hand and says, get to work, move faster. No, man. This isn't ancient Egypt or the actual Pharaoh. You have men, a shadow government that works behind the scenes, illuministic ones that run the society with strange secret laws in a clandestine fashion. And they are the king, not he, but they are the king of Babylon. So when you go back to Daniel, that's what this king is doing. Because there's not one Edomite that exalts himself and puts the other Edomites down. This is a systematic move by these elite families to exalt this system. You know? And they're going to speak like we read earlier. Let me read this one more time from the top. And the king shall do according to his will. And he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. And he's going to prosper, not forever, but until the indignation be accomplished. Meaning what? Until he's going to prosper as long as we are in his hand. See, the indignation is the Most High's indignation towards us. The captivity that we're in. And as long as we're in this captivity, he's going to prosper. For that is determined shall be done. What has been determined for us to be in captivity, and then ultimately this man be destroyed. Let's get a precept on that. For the indignation. Let's go to Lamentations, the 4th chapter. Let's read verse number 21. Right? Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shall make thyself naked. So America is going to receive the same judgments that we had to go through. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished. See that? What does it say in Daniel? Shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. Back in Lamentations. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. So it's saying that we have a time limit for our punishment in Babylon the Great and these other captivities that we're in, or these other lands that we're in. And as we reach our climax of our captivity, the Most High is going to start jamming up these heathen. That's what it means in Daniel 11. For that is determined shall be done. Right? Let's go back to Daniel 11. Right? Daniel chapter 11. And let's read verse, Slaki, I want 37. It reads, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. Right? And King Antiochus, he actually worshipped and set himself up as a god, but he had Zeus, right? And he had gods that Bacchus, and he had other gods that he exalted. He regarded actual gods of his fathers. He regarded Bacchus. He regarded Zeus. He regarded the pantheon, right, of the deities that Antiochus Magnus, Antiochus II, and Seleucus I Nicator worship. But this devil, this Edomite, he doesn't follow the Greek gods. He doesn't follow the gods of his fathers. This king right here, this king of the north, and when it says north, it's really the north country. He's the king of the north country. The north country is America, right? The north country is Babylon the Great, if you can understand. And he's not regarding the God of his fathers. He's not doing what Antiochus did. You don't see the so-called white man regarding Zeus. See, one thing that people don't know about the so-called white man is that he actually knows about Yahweh. You say, no, but what about white Jesus? What about the image? That's for you. White Jesus, that's for you. That's for the people. They don't believe that. What's the famous saying? In order to create a lie, you have to what? You have to know the truth. So you think the so-called white man and these Rothschilds and Rockefellers, you think they praise white Jesus? You'll be out your mind, man, to believe that thing. Even these elites, these popes and these men, they know about the dark images, man. So this man doesn't regard the God of his fathers. Who's the God of his fathers? Right? This is what you call the pantheon. All right, let's pull up the 12 Olympians, or the pantheon. Pan meaning all. Theon goes back to the word theos, which means God. In ancient Greek religion and mythology, the 12 Olympians are the major deities of the Greek pantheon, commonly considered to be Zeus, Poseidon, Hera, Demeter, Aphrodite, Athena, Artemis, Apollo, Ares, Hephaestus, Hermes, and Dionysus. And Dionysus is Bacchus. And Bacchus was indeed exalted by Antiochus the fourth. You can read that in 2nd Maccabees, the 6th chapter. Every day in the king's birth, they were constrained in the feast of Bacchus. Right? So he worshiped these gods, man. He set up Jupiter or Zeus. Let's get that quick precept. But these devils, these modern day elites, they don't care about that, man. They don't get off on that. Right? This 2nd Maccabees, chapter 6, and verse number 2. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius. You see that? And that in Gerizim, and Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in that place. So you had actual Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, who exalted the god of his fathers, Jupiter Olympius, and he put that temple in Jerusalem. And you also, I'm going to jump down in 2nd Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 7. And this is during the time of persecution by Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, aka Epimanes, which means God manifest, because he likened himself to a god, and he also had other gods that he served. 2nd Maccabees 6 and 7. And in the day of the king's birth, every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, that's Dionysus, the god of sex, drunkenness, revelry, and passions, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. So these men, they worship the god of their fathers. They worship Bacchus. They worship Jupiter, right? They worshiped all these gods, man. And they forced that same spirit on the Israelites. That's why we had a lot of Israelites during the time of the apostles. They were going to do sacrifice to Paul and Barnabas and call one Mercury and the other one Jupiter, you know, because they had that Hellenization spirit on them. Let's go back to Daniel 11. And Donald Trump, he has some of these same spirits. Remember, Donald Trump, he said that he's the chosen one. I don't know if brothers remember that, but that was a few years ago. He actually came out and said that he's the chosen one. So he moves in his same spirit because he's part of this system. He's just a lower level puppet. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. And this devil doesn't regard the desire of women. He passes laws where a man could be with a man, where a woman could be with a woman, where a man could be with a boy. Even the desire of woman and the things that women praise and the gods that women worship, he doesn't deal with any of that, man. He doesn't regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. And that's what the so-called white man is doing. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. A God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. So there's a God that the Most High is letting you know that Esau gets down with, and this God is called the God of forces. Now, the God of forces is not some ancient old deity, right? The God of forces represents really power and strength. The God of power and strength. That's the God of forces. Really, Esau's power, his weapons, you understand, his might. That's what Esau really worships, right? War, bloodshed. That's what the God of forces represents. right? It's not an actual spirit, right? It reads, a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. And this is a God whom his fathers knew not, because his fathers, what the Lord is letting you know is the spirit that this devil moves in is going to be that more violent, that much more conquering, that much more bloody than those of his fathers. Now, who are the gods that Esau's fathers knew? Well, the Greek gods that he worshipped, the Roman gods he worshipped before that. The God whom his fathers knew, Esau actually had a God. Right? There was a time when the Edomites had an Edomite God named Quos. That's the ancient Edomite God whom his fathers knew. Right? Quos was the national god of the Edomites. This is their first god. This is what the Edomites worshipped. Quos. This horned god. Right? Quos, he's the ancient Edomite god. That's where they get their white Jesus from. See that? So don't think this devil didn't have gods. They have their own gods that their fathers worshipped. They've always had gods, man. They had Quos. They've had Serapis Christus. Let's pull him up. Let's pull up these gods that these Edomites served. So here's one of their gods, and they put the precept. That's beautiful, because I was going to get that with Amaziah. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 25 about Quos. Right? Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 25. Right? Because Amaziah the king actually started serving their God. Right? This 2 Chronicles chapter 25 and verse number 14. Now, this king, man, this king was so off. This king was so off as the power that the Most High gave him to defeat the Edomites. And after he killed thousands of them and threw them off a cliff and broke them in pieces, this fool said, you know what? I'm going to serve the gods of the Edomites. After he just beat the Edomites. Why would you go and destroy an entire nation just to worship the God of that nation that couldn't save them from you? That's our people, right? 2 Chronicles 25 and 14. Now it came to pass that Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites, that he brought the gods of the children of Seir and set them up to be his gods, and bowed down himself before them and burned incense unto them. Who are these gods that the Edomites had? They didn't have Caesar Borgias at that time. They didn't have Zeus, Hercules. They didn't have Hermes, right? They didn't have the Father Time and Santa Claus and Old Man Winter. They had Quos and other pantheons of gods that the Edomites worshipped. These are the gods of Esau. Quos. Let's pull up Serapis. Serapis Christus. He's the god invented by the Ptolemies, right? Which is a mix of the god of Egypt and Edomite god. So Serapis is another god that these Edomites worshipped. Serapis is a Greco-Egyptian god, a syncretic, meaning a mixed religions and folly, deity derived from the worship of the Egyptian Osiris and Apis. Serapis was extensively popularized in the 3rd century on the order of Greek pharaoh Ptolemy I Soter as a means to unify Greek and Egyptian subjects of the Ptolemaic kingdom. Here's another god of their fathers. The pantheon of gods, they had Serapis, they had Quos. Now they have, here's their famous god that they gave you. Now, white Jesus. He's just another invention. Just another false god that they created. Like Zeus, Hercules, Quos, Serapis. These are the gods of his fathers. Now, what is Daniel saying? It says, but in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, a God whom his fathers knew not. Because we went into the ancient gods of these Edomites. Right? We went into the ancient gods of these Edomites. Shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. So he's going to conquer in the name of his God and bring the spoils of war to his God. That's how you honor your God. Like King David. King David would defeat the nations and would take the spoils of war and put it into the treasury. Right? He would take targets and shields and crowns and honor Yahweh Bashmiyah by taking that gold and silver and giving it to the Most High. Right? That's what this is talking about. This is talking about military conquest, and the spoils of war are brought to your God. Right? Let's get an example of that. Let's go to the book of Joshua. Right? Let's go to Joshua, the 6th chapter. I didn't plan on going too deep into this. I still want to go into these other articles, but it's the spirit, right? Let's go to Joshua. Joshua chapter 6 and 19. Here's the Israelites taking over Jericho. Here's the decree that he gave all of Israel, right? Joshua 6 and 19. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto Yahweh. They shall come into the treasury of Yahweh. So when you went to war and you took these nations down, all of their resources were given to your God, right? David, I want to see if I can actually find that precept. He actually took the shields. Let's see if I can get that. Let's get the account with Solomon. Solomon did the same thing, right? This is 2 Chronicles 9 and 15. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold. 600 shekels of beaten gold went to one target. And 300 shekels, it's like in 300 shields, made he of beaten gold. And 300 shekels of gold went into one shield. And the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. So there were things that they dedicated to the Most High God, right? Shields and gold and silver and things of that nature. So in Daniel, the 11th chapter, all of the war that Esau's into, he takes the land, the resources, the oil, the gold, and he dedicates it to his own power and his might. That is the number one God that Esau worships, right? Let's get this in the book of Habakkuk. Let's prove that. Let's go to Habakkuk, the 1st chapter, right? He worships power and might, right? Habakkuk chapter 1 and verse number 14. Habakkuk 1 and 14. And maketh men as the fishes of the sea, and as the creeping things that have no rule over them. So men are likened unto fishes, they're likened unto beasts, they're likened unto trees, right? So let's deal with the fish aspect of it. They take up all of them with the angle, they catch them in their net, and gather them in their drag, therefore they rejoice and are glad. So what Habakkuk is saying is the so-called white man conquers the other nations with their weapons and witchcraft and power and through war. That's what the net is. Man is the fish, and man is killed by the net of the so-called white man. His wars, his power, his diseases that he gives you, his bombs that he drops on you. Let's read on. Therefore, now check out how Esau gets down. Here's what the Most High is letting you know. Therefore, they sacrifice unto their net and burn incense unto their drag, because by them their portion is fat and their meat is plenteous. So what does this mean? We sacrifice to the Most High. We would bring calves, lambs, bullocks, turtle doves to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Esau, they do sacrifices too, but they sacrifice unto their net. Their net represents the power that they have to destroy men. Because remember, men are as fishes. And the net is what kills and catches the fish. So the wars and the powers and the weapons and the might that Esau has is what he really worships. That's why they say they go to war for what? Gold, oil, and drugs. Right? And Esau, he can't live without war. He always has to go to war. That's his God that he serves. Power, might. Why do you think he's always in these wars, man? If you look up how many years America has been without war, it's few and none. It's few and none. Right? So they sacrifice unto what allows them to kill men, which is their wars and their technology and their power. And they burn incense unto their drag. So we're saying the same thing. Because by them, meaning by their power, their portion is fat. This is how they get land. Right? This is how they take over countries. By power and by war. And their meat is plenteous. Shall they therefore empty their net and not spare continually to slay the nation? So you might have thought, no, it's talking about actual fishing. No, it's talking about slaying nations, destroying flesh, killing people, if you will. And this is the spirit that the Most High is letting you know that Esau's in. It's the spirit that he's in, man. Worshiping these gods, man. Power and might. Didn't Satan come to Yahushua and say, all this power will I give thee? Right? Luke chapter 4 and verse 6. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it. So Satan told Yahushua, the Most High gave me power to give you power. All you got to do is bow down and worship me. If thou therefore will worship me, all shall be thine. You see that? All shall be thine. And that's what Esau, he's always wanted, was power. He's always wanted the power. He's always wanted to try to get his birthright back and his blessings. That's, again, it links up with the article why these Christians have something called Christian dominionism. That's the spirit that they move in, man. The God of forces, meaning the God of power, munitions, fortresses, embassies, military bases, war. Right? And you know Esau worships war and power because he has military bases all over the damn world, man. He's the only people on the earth that has military bases, United States embassies, all over the damn earth, man. And there's not another nation like it. There's not another nation like it. Let's pull up U.S. military bases in the earth, man. All over the earth. Let's see what we can find. It has to be hundreds. Look at this. Look at this. He gets off on war. He can't go to sleep, man, unless he kills. We're going to get that in Proverbs as well. Right? U.S. military presence around the world. The United States has about 750 bases in at least 80 countries around the world. It has approximately 173,000 troops deployed in 159 countries. 159 countries all over the earth, man. All over the earth. So he gets off on war. And all of the lands that he conquers, and the children that he sex traffics and human traffics, and the drugs that he brings, and the people that he kills, he does it in the name of his God. War and power and might. That's what he serves. That's what he sacrifices to. That's what he gives his strength into. To the sword, to war, to power, and to might. Right? So that's what this is saying in Daniel 11:38. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver, and with precious stones and pleasant things. Verse 39. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. So what it's saying is Esau, the so-called white man, led by Babylon the Great, they're going to conquer many nations through power, right? Strongholds represents what? Nations, kingdoms. If you look this up, let's see if we can find this in another version, right? Sometimes that may help a brother out. A brother may say, well, let me see it in this NLT. Let me see it in this translation, right? This is Daniel. Some brothers, you may not need to go into another translation, right? But another brother, he may say, well, look, the old English, right? I'm having a hard time comprehending it. Let's go to Daniel 11:39. Saying he's taking down other nations, right? Let's see what it says. Okay, let's read the NLT. Claiming the foreign god's help, right? He will attack the strongest fortresses. He will honor those who submit to him, appointing them to positions of authority and dividing the land among them as their reward. So what it's saying is he's going to move in a spirit of war and power and take over other nations, strong fortresses. He's going to take over the continent of Africa. He's going to take over the land of Babylon the Great. He's going to put military bases all over the earth. He's going to go to war against Germany, one of the greatest powers. He's going to go to war against Japan, right? He's going to go to war against all these nations, man. Iraq and Iran, strong fortresses. And if you're on his side, he's going to honor you. That's what it says. He will honor those who submit to him. So if you are pro-America, or you're pro-Zionist, or you're pro-Babylon the Great, you'll be taken care of, man. Why do you think these European Union nations give their power and strength into the beast? Why do you think people who sell their soul are honored and exalted? He honors those who submit to him. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13. Let's get a precept on that, right? And if you dishonor this man, you get persecuted with the edge of the sword. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 8. And all they that dwell on the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. So if you're not part of the elect, you're going to submit unto this system, unto this kingdom, unto this beast. And all these nations, they get down with this system. And they get honored. And they can help rob the Israelites. Why do you think the Ishmaelites are in the ghettos? In the hoods? Why do you think the Moabite man has the nail salons, the liquor stores, the weave shops? The Arab man got the gas stations. They've all submitted to him, and they were honored. And he said, you know what? Good job. Come into my land and get money off of these slaves. Arab man got gas stations. He got damn smoke shops. He got damn weed shops. He got damn 7-Elevens. He got bodegas. He got hookah spots. He got everything. The African man, he got his little restaurants and his fake purses that he sells you, and fake Gucci, and he gets to monopolize the taxi cabs and transportation. Everybody who submits, they could prosper. That's what Daniel 11 is saying, right? Let's jump up in Revelation chapter 13. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse number 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. Right? So when the Roman Empire fell and they came back into power during the Renaissance, everybody began to gravitate back to Rome all over again. Right? And modern day Rome, which is now your NATO and the EU. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. You see that? And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him. And they have the mentality, if you can't beat them, join them. That's what China said. Japan said it. The Arab nation, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, right? France, England, Spain, Germany, right? The UK. They all said, if you can't beat them, join them. So these nations, they worship the dragon. They worship the Roman Empire and their power and their might. And they worship the beast, which is modern day Rome, NATO and the EU. And they say, who is like unto the beast? Wow. Look at those bombs he's dropping. Wow. Look at him enslave God's people. That's really what the nations are enamored with. They worship Babylon the Great based off of how they have the ability to enslave God's people. So they must think the Most High is with them. And they say, who is able to make war with him? So back in Daniel 11, he's going to conquer many nations and he's going to increase in power. And if you get down with him, he'll allow you to rule over the Israelites and in other lands, man. He'll give you $1, which was their global reserve currency. And he'll allow you to spend his dollar. You get in bed with him, man. If you honor him, he'll put you in bed and pull a cover over your eyes, man. And you'll be in bed with him. And then you'll get out the bed and he says, good job. So these nations are like cheap whores, man. That's what they do to whores, man. You pay them after they get down with you so they can have some power. So all these nations that accept democracy, the United States dollar, religions, sciences, medicines, they are accepted by Babylon the Great, right? They are accepted by Babylon the Great, right? So let's read on. Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 40, right? It's lucky. Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 40. Actually, let me get one more quick precept on Daniel 11:39. Right, let's go to James, right? I want to get this real quick. Right, let's go to James, the 5th chapter. And brothers are putting good precepts up there. Right, this James chapter 5 and verse number 4. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is if you kept back by fraud, crieth. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, meaning the Lord of hosts. All of our wealth that they're holding back, that they owe us for the kingdoms that we have built, all these nations, they're holding on to some portion of our wealth. We had to be in slavery under all these nations. And America pimped us out to China. They pimped us out to the Arabs. They pimped us out to all these nations, man. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. So all these nations have their hearts nourished and they have increased, right? Daniel 11 and 40. And at the time of the end, right? And at the time of the end, it's like here, shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. So pushing at him is war. So the king of the south is going to push at the king of the north. So America, they're going to be involved in a regional war. And it's going to start in the Middle East. Rather it's by Iran, Saudi Arabia. One of these nations, they're going to push against them, right? One of their enemies. It reads, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with the horsemen and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. And that's going to lead to World War III. It's going to lead to them bringing their USS carriers, their jets, their Marine Corps. All of these people are going to go, that's part of the American and the military. They're going to sweep into that region. So you're going to have a global war take place, right? When you read this chapter, it leads into Armageddon, all the way down to Armageddon, right? Him dying in Jerusalem, right? Or the Valley of Decision. So Donald Trump, although you may have men that says, well, he's the Antichrist, he's the king of the north, he's going to fulfill certain prophecies, we're showing you he moves in that proud spirit. But this is speaking about something completely different. You have people that may say, like I said, Donald Trump, he's going to bring about, he's the Antichrist. And a lot of people think that the Antichrist is a politician that's going to come out. Look at this. Trump MAGA movement, Antichrist. They think the Antichrist is an actual man. Look at this. People are actually writing books. People are actually writing books about how they believe Donald Trump is an Antichrist. Right? They believe he has a 666 on his scalp. Look at this. Is Donald Trump the Antichrist? Let me see what they say. First of all, when you talk about Antichrist, there are many Antichrists. There is not just one Antichrist with 666 on the back of his scalp, right? Just lusting to come into power. Let's go to 1 John chapter 2, right? See, people don't understand and they don't read. They think that there's one Edomite and he's going to be the Antichrist and he's going to enslave the human race and establish, the new world order. And no, that's not what the Antichrist is going into, right? 1 John 2:18, little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard, that Antichrist shall come, right? Even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know it is the last time. So there are many Antichrists. Antichrist is someone that doesn't believe that Yahushua walked the earth in the flesh. There was a heavy spirit of Gnosticism going on during the time of the early church era, when you had men teaching that Yahushua was just a spirit, but he never walked the earth. He wasn't born in Bethlehem. He wasn't raised in Nazareth. He didn't live in Galilee. He never went to Jerusalem. He's just a spirit. So word got out, and that became a doctrine and leaven in the church. So John, he's targeting that doctrine by sending this letter to the churches, warning them about that demon, that spirit, about the spirit of Antichrist. So this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Now, is Donald Trump a Antichrist? Come. Is he the Antichrist? La'ah. There's no singular one Antichrist. It is not biblical by any means. Right? Again, that was the spirit of, see if we could find Gnosticism, right? Let's type in early church, right? Gnosticism, early church, right? It reads, Gnosticism, meaning having knowledge, is a collection of religious ideas and systems that coalesced in the late 1st century AD among Israelite and early Christian sects. These various groups emphasize personal spiritual knowledge, which is gnosis, means to know, above proto-Orthodox teaching, traditions, and authority of religious institutions. So they brought heresies in. They thought they knew something, and they brought heresies in, right? Let me see if I can find that they go into, let's see. Bear with me. I wanted to see if they went into the Lord, right? And they may probably didn't go too deep into it. Okay, so they didn't go too deep into it. But that's the spirit that John the Revelator was attacking. That spirit of Gnosticism. Right? Now, see, so they're going into it right here, right? So check this out. Within early Christianity, the teachings of the Apostle Paul and John the Evangelist may have been a starting point for Gnostic ideas, with a growing emphasis on the opposition between flesh and spirit, the value of charisma, and the disqualification of the law. So they were going off, man. They were going off, and that's why they were saying Yahushua never came in the flesh. He was just a spirit. That's what the true spirit or the true understanding of the Antichrist is, knowing the roots of early church heretical teachings, Gnosticism, and the division and really the lack of understanding between the flesh and the spirit. What the Gnostics, they really strongly condemned the flesh, right? So let's read on more about what they believed. The mortal body belonged to the world of the inferior. Worldly powers, the archons. Where's it at? The archons, right? It's not, the Lord isn't dealing with the archons. So they believed the mortal body belonged to the world of the inferior, and only the spirit or soul could be saved. The term Gnosticos may have acquired a deeper significance here. Right? So they believe only the spirit can be saved. Now, the Most High is coming, he's not coming to actually save your fleshly body, but he's going to change your earthly body to a spiritual body. Let's get that real quick in 1 Corinthians. That's what they didn't understand. They thought the Lord, you were just going to have a spirit and just be like Casper up in the third heaven. No, you're going to have an actual body in the kingdom of heaven. And they taught, and they really believed that Yahushua was just a spirit. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse number 52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So the Apostle Paul is speaking about what? The resurrection. There's a resurrection of the just and the unjust. Men that were righteous and died for Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, and men that were wicked, right? That died in their transgressions. Both lots are going to be raised again when Yahushua returns. Now, those that were righteous, they're going to be resurrected unto life, and they're going to be changed. They're going to be given a spiritual body. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality, right? And this mortal must put on immortality. So you're going to have a body that's not subject to pain, spirits, depression, demons, tiredness, folly, wickedness. That's the body that the Most High is going to give you. So when John was going into this about many antichrists, he was speaking about that doctrine of Yahushua not coming in the flesh. Right? Let's jump down. 1 John chapter 2 and 22. Who is a liar? But he that denieth that Yahushua is Hamashiach. He is Antichrist, that denieth the Father and the Son. And that's another level to it. If you deny the Father and the Son, you're Antichrist. Guess what? Every Muslim is an Antichrist. They deny Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. You can say, well, hold on. They say Allah, Jesus. They deny Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. Every Roman Catholic, every Christian, your grandmother, your uncle, your cousins, they are Antichrist. The men that approach you at camp that scoff and that are rebels, those are Antichrist. Don't relegate Antichrist to one local politician. There are, if you're not in this truth, I'll put it like this, man. If you're not in this truth, you're an Antichrist. Now you say, oh no, I believe in the Most High. I go to church. You're an Antichrist, right? You don't believe in what we believe in. You believe again, and what does that article say? Christian dominionism, right? We're going to pull that up by the false prophets. Verse 23, whoso denieth the Son, the same hath not the Father. But he that acknowledgeth the Son hath the Father also. So you have to, you can't say the water Yahweh. I don't want to say Ba'ashem Yahushua. You can't say that. I don't really want to say Ba'ashem Yahushua. I'm not really feeling Ba'ashem. That's wicked, man. Because if you don't want to say Ba'ashem Yahushua and you can't praise the Most High, you can't go straight to the Father. You have to go through the Son. He is the mediator between the Most High and man. The water Yahweh. And you better say Ba'ashem Yahushua or in the name of your son Yahushua. Now, a lot of brothers, you say all praise to the Most High. Hey, look, all praise to the Most High, right? But you definitely want to acknowledge the name of his son, Ba'ashem Yahushua, and your prayers, right? And your blessings. When you throw these curses up on these nations, it's all in the name of his son, Yahushua, right? So again, that was a spirit going on at that time. So no, you can't just say Donald Trump is the Antichrist, right? Where's that at? You can't just say it's Donald Trump the Antichrist and leave it at that. He is an Antichrist. Don't get me wrong. Nobody cares that he sold Bibles. And if you're in this truth and you bought a Trump Bible, your mind is bad. You have a bad mind. If you bought that Trump Bible, now you can say, well, it's a Bible. Well, brother, you didn't have to buy the Trump Bible. Well, it's the same words. Who do you think you are? Well, all right, brother, go ahead and read your Donald Trump Bible, right? If you went out of your way and you lusted to buy the Trump Bible, again, your mind is bad. This man, Donald Trump, was walking around at the picture with a yarmulke on. Look at this. Look at this idiot. You know, he's probably the most pro-Zionist, pro-Amalek president that's really has been on the earth in a long time. So he has pledged his allegiance. He's nothing but their, I'm trying to find the right word. Donald Trump is Amalek's, you know what, man. I'll leave it at that. If you don't know what you know what means, then you gotta look it up. But that's what Donald Trump is to Amalek. That's what the American government is to him. He's there, you know what. They tell him what to do. They say spin around, he'll spin. They'll tell him to jump, he'll jump. They say put this damn yarmulke on, he'll put it on. They say do this for us, pass this law, get on these people, and he's going to do it. Because he knows that these men are in the know. And America has their league with this system, with these people who claim to be the people of the Most High. Who said, I will sit, let me get that in Isaiah the 14th chapter, who said they would sit upon a mount of the north, paraphrasing. All right, let's get that in Isaiah chapter 14 real quick. Right, this Isaiah chapter 14 and verse number 13. Right, Isaiah chapter 14 and 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, this speaking about Esau, right? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, meaning I am going to be the people of the Lord. That's the mount of the congregation, Mount Zion, right? Let me get the precept for that. Let's go real quick to Psalms chapter 48, right? Psalms chapter 48 and verse number 1. Great is Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, and the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the king. So in Isaiah 14, when he said, I'm going to sit in the mount in the north, he's speaking about Jerusalem. He said, I'm going to be like the people of the Most High and exalt myself, and I'm going to take over the land. That's what it means, the sides of the north, the city of the great king. Back in Isaiah 14, let's read it again. Isaiah 14 and 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, meaning Esau said this in their mind, I will ascend into heaven. That doesn't mean, okay, he took a rocket ship. No, that's spiritually. He's going to make himself like the Most High. Through the Renaissance, through his science, he's going to heal you instead of God. He's going to give you a pill box and all types of damn potions and pharmaceuticals. He's going to heal you. He's going to teach you the way that the Most High is supposed to teach you. You're going to have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. You're going to feel very smart and educated and wise, as if you have acquired knowledge from God. These people that have their, these degrees of the world, they're so full of themselves, man. And they move as if they're the smartest people on the earth, as if God taught them. And God did teach them. Which God? The so-called white man. He teaches men, right? He heals men of their infirmities, the same way the Most High does. So there are many things that this devil does to try to be the Most High. He has cameras and satellites and trackings on your phone, on your laptop, all over wherever you go. He's watching you as if, he's an angel, as if those are his angels. That's the God complex of the so-called white man. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation and the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. He said, I have to be like the Most High, man. I need power. I want to create man in my image, after my likeness. I want them to have blue eyes, blonde hair, serve me. I want to be like the Most High, right? I want to do the creation all over again. I want to destroy everything within a nuclear holocaust, and I want to create the heavens and the earth all over again. And darkness being upon the face of the deep. And I want to say, let there be light, which is my illuministic regime and new world order. So he wants to move upon the face of the waters, man. He wants to be like the Most High. So that's why you have this damn devil walking around with the people who claim to be the people of the Most High, because they all move together. Look at this. Right? Look at this. I'll be damned, man. If I had to go to Israel, man, which I don't want to go, man, until these devils are blown up out this damn land. If I had to go, I'm not wearing a damn yarmulke. I'll be damned. You gotta put the yarmulke on. And I spit in that yarmulke and put it on his damn thick, nasty glasses, man. Look at this. I hate this devil. Look at this. He has no level of He can't even fake it how them Amalekites be faking it. Look at this. Putting the Hebrew, Syrian script up there. Right? The yarmulke. So he doesn't love you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. He chose his team. He chose his side. He's letting you know who he supports, man. And he doesn't support you so-called Negroes, man. Look at this. Where is it in the scriptures? Where the people of the Most High can wear a red yarmulke that says Trump. Where's that in the Bible? Where's the book, chapter, and the verse on this? On this dirty, lice-infested scalp full of critters and abominable things. And how does it stick to their head? That's another great mystery. And what did the Most High say? You could put Trump on 1/4 of it, man, and be the people of the Most High. Right? So another thing they had is for prophecy, why Trump is being compared to the obscure biblical King Jehu on the Christian right. So a lot of people are calling him Jehu. Some men are calling him Cyrus. Some men are calling him Jehu, the king. Some men are calling him the Antichrist. Right? Some men are calling him actual Roman emperors, man. Now, if you don't know who King Jehu is, right? King Jehu is one of the kings of Israel, right? And I actually had that pulled up. Jehu is one of the kings of Israel. He reigned 28 years from around 885 to 857 BC. You can read about him in 2 Kings, the 9th chapter and the 10th chapter, right? And he put out all of the prophets of Baal out the land. So they're likening him unto Jehu. And this is madness, man. Let's figure out why Christian prophets are likening Donald Trump into Jehu prophetically, right? According to the Bible, Jehu orders the killing of Jezebel as he takes over the kingdom of Israel and eradicates the idol worshipers who had led the people away from God, right? We're going to read a little bit about Jehu. We're not going to read the whole thing, but it reads, Donald Trump's, this November 3rd, 2024, Donald Trump's fans and critics alike have compared him to some of history's most famous rulers, Cyrus the Great, Adolf Hitler, King David, and more. So they're comparing Donald Trump to King David, right? Hitler and Cyrus the Great. Now, what Donald Trump is we're going to touch on this. He's not Jehu, obviously. Donald Trump is one of these Roman Caesars and emperors back on the earth, right? He's one of these Roman emperors that you read about in the Bible back on the earth. Now, when you read the scriptures, the same generation, again, like we always go into back then, it's the same generation now. And from the time of Yahushua, right? From the time of Yahushua to the time, you see that? Right? I can't show that. The brother just sent me this from Indiana. I can't pull that on the screen. Right? But hey, maybe I can, man. Right? But the point is, these Roman emperors back then are the same Roman emperors now. All these presidents are nothing but Roman emperors. Tiberius, he was the Caesar when Yahushua was on the scene. Tiberius Julius Caesar Augustus. So Donald Trump could be Tiberius, right? Because he's the Caesar that was alive when Yahushua was on the earth. That generation, right? Let's get Luke the 3rd chapter real quick, right? He could be Tiberius. He could be Nero, the 6th emperor of Rome. He could be Herod, right? I'm led to believe he's more than Herod. If I was a betting man, I would say he's either Tiberius Caesar or he's Nero back on the earth, right? This is Luke chapter 3 and 1. Now, in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, It could be Pontius Pilate, man. Pontius Pilate being governor of Judea, and Herod being tetrarch of Galilee, and his brother Philip, tetrarch of Iturea, and of the region of Trachonitis, and Lysanias, the tetrarch of Abilene. So you see, during the time of Yahushua, Tiberius Caesar, he was the ruler at that time. He was the Roman emperor at that time. Now, you read about Claudius in the book of Acts, the 18th chapter, during the time of the apostles. Claudius, he commanded that all Jews depart from Rome. So he was in power. Nero was also in power. And Nero, he has a lot of, when you study Nero, he has a lot of characteristics that you see in Trump, right? That you see in Trump. Tiberius too. You know, both of these, all these Edomites was off. Caligula, he was off, right? These guys were sodomites, violent men, child molesters. And Nero was also another Caesar that you can read about in the Bible, right? When you go to 2 Timothy, let's go to 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter. You can read about Nero in the Bible. So Donald Trump, it's like 2 Timothy, and Bible prophecy, he is not Jehu. We're still going to touch on that article. He is not Caesar. He is not the king of the north. He is not the Antichrist, right? This is 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse number 22, right? It reads, the Lord Yahushua Hamashiach be with thy spirit. Grace be with you. Amen. The second epistle unto Timotheus, ordained the first bishop of the church of the Ephesians, was written from Rome when Paul was brought before Nero the second time. So Nero, the Neronian persecution, was led by Emperor Nero, and the Apostle Paul had to deal with Nero. He had to deal with Nero. You can also read about Nero as 2nd Esdras, the 11th chapter, right? Let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 11. You read about the 12 feathers, right? Julius Caesar, Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian, Titus, Domitian, right? You had emperors after him. You had Nerva, the Nerva Antoine or Antoine dynasty, right? You had these different Caesars, but the first 12 is from Julius Caesar all the way to Domitian, who is the top man of the Flavian dynasty. Now, this is 2nd Esdras, chapter 11 and verse number 1. I'll just read verse 1, right? 2nd Esdras 11 and 1. Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. And those 12 feathered wings, or 12 feathers, are the first 12 Caesars. And the 6th one of the 12 is who? Nero. So he could have been one of these 12 feathered wings. So I can pull this back up, coming back on the earth. Now, Nero was a madman. You know, in today's society, they would call him, schizophrenic, bipolar. You know, they would say he has a multiple personality disorder. They would call him a child molester, a sodomite, a violent man, right? So he's known for his strangeness, right? See if they actually have. Let me see if I can pull this up. He's known for his strange, lewd life, right? Now, this is, I want to see if I can, if they actually had more about this man. Right, let's see. Right? Let's see. I'll just jump up, right? Because you have these different men that spoke against him. right? And a lot of men wrote against him and said that he was kind of, bugged out, man. He was an emotional wreck. Now, what Nero is most famously responsible for us that we know of, is the Great Fire of Rome, right? So the Great Fire of Rome was a false flag attack that Nero did in order to blame the fire on the Israelites. He really wanted to expand the land for himself to build a palace, but he blamed the Great Fire on Rome on the Israelites, which was a massive false flag attack. And then it began a persecution towards all those that believed in Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua, right? So check this out. The Great Fire of Rome began on July 18th of 64 AD. The fire began in the merchant shops around Rome's Chariot Stadium, Circus Maximus. After 6 days, the fire was under control, but before the damage could be assessed, the fire reignited and burned for another 3 days. In the aftermath of the fire, 71% of Rome, 71% of Rome had been destroyed, 10 out of 14 districts, according to Tacitus and later Christian tradition. Emperor Nero blamed the devastation on the Christian community in the city, meaning the Israelites, initiating the empire's first persecution against the Christians. So we were heavily persecuted by Nero. Now, Donald Trump, he has the ability and that spirit to do that, man. Remember, Donald Trump, he said he's going to bring back the guillotine. Trump, bring back, bear with me, guillotine. See that? From Vanity Fair. Trump wants to bring back hangings and firing squads in his second term, is thinking about guillotines too. He wants to bring back guillotines. He wants to bring back hangings, public executions. He wants to bring back death by firing squad. So you know this devil, man. If anybody's going to be press the button for a false flag and a persecution, it'd be this devil. Now, can we say he's going to be the one to do it? Hey, we don't know. But I would not be surprised, man. Right? These prophecies have to be fulfilled. Right? Let's go to Matthew. Actually, let's go to Daniel. Right? Let's go to Daniel, the 12th chapter. This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as was never since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So there's going to be a time of trouble on the earth. False flags. When you intentionally create a catastrophe, destroy your building, burn something down, and you do it with the sole purpose of blaming another faction, ethnicity, individual, or group of people. So Donald Trump could be in office, right? And all of a sudden, a federal building blows up, or something happens, and they say it was you black Hebrew Israelites. You have been terrorizing the streets long enough. I will be the first one to send the military. If there is any camps out there doing the work, you will be rounded up. And I can see Trump saying that, man. They already had that damn so-called shooting in Jersey, and they blamed the Israelites. He's already a pro-Zionist, Israeli damn warmonger. So the days draw nigh when there's going to be a time of trouble like never before. Right? And that's coming on the earth, man. Right? It's coming on the earth. And, I encourage you, brothers, to look more into the Roman persecution. or the Neronian persecution and see the horrible tortures that we have to go through during that time. And that's another reason why Nero, that if Trump was anybody back on the earth, he's either Tiberius or he's Nero, one of these Roman Caesars. Now, I could be wrong. That's just me speaking as a man. I'm not the Most High. You can say, well, how do you know? I thought the Lord said there's no remembrance of former things. Or who do you? Hey, look, brother, you're right. There is no remembrance of former things. But we do know those same spirits back then are on the earth now. All the apostles, they're back on the earth. All of the wicked Sadducees, they're back on the earth. Pontius Pilate, he's here. Wherever he's at, he's on the earth somewhere. Herod, he's here. Paul, he's here. Right? So let's go back to this article right here. So this is, again, why Trump is being compared to the obscure biblical King Jehu on the Christian right. Donald Trump's fans and critics, Salakia, alike have compared him to some of history's most, Salakia, they keep having me do that, most famous rulers: Cyrus the Great, Adolf Hitler, King David, and more. But on the eve of the election, a celebrity pastor, that says a lot, named Jonathan Cain, wants his evangelical followers to think of the Republican candidate as a present-day manifestation of a far more obscure leader, the biblical King Jehu. And who picks? Jehu wasn't a Hezekiah. Jehu wasn't a Josiah. He wasn't a David. So to liken your top man as Jehu, I mean, right? That's not, you're not saying much. I thought Jehu worshiped 2 golden calves when it was all said and done. After all of his works, he went back to the old man and started worshiping the golden calves. So everybody wants to look at the good that Jehu did, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And Jehu started off on fire, but he didn't endure unto the end. And he fell away in idolatry and his own lust. Let me get that in 2 Kings, right? I'm not going to read again. I'm not going to read all about Jehu. If you haven't read about Jehu, read about him. He was mighty, man. He did slay kings, man. He did destroy Jezebel. He did put false prophets out the land, right? This 2 Kings chapter 10 and verse number 31. But Jehu, this one is all said and done. But Jehu took no heed to walk in the law of Yahweh, God of Israel, with all his heart. For he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, which made Israel to sin. So if you want to say Donald Trump is Jehu, that means he's going to have works that you may agree with, but he's never going to keep the law. He's going to depart from the law. And he's going to follow the sins of wicked men before him. That was Jehu's end lot. To have great works and then fall away. So Jehu isn't somebody that you put on a pedestal because he died in his sins. Whereas David died in his old age. Hezekiah and our fathers, right? Righteous men. But Jehu, not so much, right? Let's read on about this. President Trump, check this out. This madness. President Trump, you were born into the world to be a trumpet of God. Well, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say Donald Trump was born to be a trumpet of the Most High, a vessel of the Lord in the hands of God. This is what these prophets, these false prophets are saying. God called you to walk according to the template. He called you according to the template of Jehu, the warrior king. So these Christian pastors are finished, man. And it does, there's not one, if what's this guy? Jonathan Cain. Let me pull this guy up. Right? Let's pull up Jonathan Cain. It doesn't say that he was called to be the template of Jehu, man. Look at this guy. Where is this guy? Right? He looks like a loser, man. Like he looks like he doesn't know how to move, man, and he looks like he gets lost very easily in the cities. He looks like a liar too, man, and dirty, like a scum drunk bag. Pray for America, Jonathan Cain. The Dragon's Prophecy. If you brothers buy this book, The Dragon's Prophecy, your mind is bad, man. I gotta get The Dragon's Prophecy. What's in there? I can't wait till the sun go down. I'm gonna buy it. The Dragon's Prophecy. Israel, the dark resurrection, and the end of days. So who the hell does he think he is, man? He thinks he's a somebody, right? So he's the one that said he's Jehu. Return of the gods. So anybody could be a pastor nowadays, man. Right? Yahushua spoke of false prophets. Let's go back to this. Right? It reads, you could be, it says, the biblical King Jehu, who vanquished the morally corrupt house of Ahab to become the 10th ruler of the kingdom of Israel. Right? We read this earlier. Let's see. When he was 20, he says he had personal revelation that led him to Jesus and eventually became the head of a messianic congregation, blending Jewish rituals with Christian worship and focus on doomsday prophecy. So he doesn't know prophecy, doesn't know what doomsday is. He hasn't read 2nd Ezra 7. But again, Trump is being compared in biblical prophecy to Jehu, Cyrus, the Antichrist, right? The king of the north. What else did I have? Once a beneficent King Cyrus, Trump has lately been cast as a biblical avenger. So he went from being King Cyrus, because what did King Cyrus do? He liberated the Israelites out of Babylon and allowed them to go back and build the temple and build the city and build the walls. 539 BC, he sent Zerubbabel and Joshua. 457 BC, Ezra was sent down by his descendants, Artaxerxes. And Artaxerxes also sent Nehemiah around 444 BC. Right? So you have a lot of people who want to claim prophetically who Donald Trump is. Look at this. And Donald Trump is nothing but a vessel fitted for destruction. He has no significant, specific role prophetically, but he serves as part of the system to further add to the downfall of Babylon the Great. Right? But no, he's not Cyrus. No, he's not the beast. No, he's not the Antichrist. No, he's not the king of the north. Right? He's not King David. He's not King Jehu. What he is he's a vessel that's going to be possessed by demons that makes decisions that leads America to war. Right? Let's get that in Isaiah the 19th chapter. And that's all he'll ever be, is a vessel that is used by God to lead America to World War III and destruction. Right? Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 14. Yahweh Bashmi Awashai have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. So there's an actual spirit in the third heaven that the Most High is going to put on these leaders of Babylon the Great and have them do things that self-destroy the society. America's already looking, and a brother sent me that earlier. They're already looking to, let me see if I can find it. It's not cut ties with NATO, but I saw this a few times. right? Donald Trump says he will read this from Bricks News. He will reevaluate the country's role in NATO. So he might be the one that breaks off from NATO, man, or has NATO break off from him. He may say, you know what, man? If you don't listen to us, there is no NATO. So he's going to lead this country straight to destruction, man. And his foreign policy with China, the Middle East, and his fellow European allies are excessive, egregious, and detrimental to the life of Babylon the Great. Right? So there's a spirit that he's going to be affected by from on high that allows him to make decisions that compromise the wealth and the success of the society, man. So with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Wamalak Yahushua. It's a midnight special, WFI late nights. We'll be doing camp in Pittsburgh tomorrow. If you're in Pittsburgh, come out. We sent the flyer out there, 707 Liberty Avenue. Come out, do the work, congregate, keep these commandments, get off the couch. Salakia, get off the couch and fulfill these prophecies, man, by gathering together as a nation that's not desired. So with that, we're going to close up. Kwam Yashalom. Shalom.